Carson, you talked about burying the hatchet. Did you have any kind of conversation with Mr. Trump like that with Senator Ted Cruz, and did he ask you for your endorsement?
He did not specifically ask for an endorsement, but he did apologize, said that, he wasn't really aware of what was going on. He didn't agree with it.
Why Mr. Trump over Ted Cruz?
Dr. Carson, you said just a week ago today at CPAC that you were endorsing We the People, and it sounds as if in that intervening time between then and now you've evolved, and the central focus, what I hear you saying is the effort to stop Donald Trump is what motivated you to endorse him. Is it Donald Trump's qualities for the presidency or this movement against him that puts you where you are right now?
It's about we the people. We need to empower the people. That is not going to be done through politics as usual, be that Republican politics as usual or be that Democrat politics as usual. It requires somebody who's a bit of an iconoclast, but someone who has the ability to listen and to make wise decisions.
Dr. Carson, do you think that, going back to what Mr. Trump said about embracing these people, you had a lot of evangelicals come out to a lot of rallies in Dayton when you were there, when I was there. Do you think that that people will be representative of the American people, and do you think you can help bridge the gap with those evangelicals as well as with people of color now that you're endorsing Mr. Trump?
Well, I hope that we can bridge the gap with everybody. All the policies that I have ever talked about, and Mr. Trump is going to be on board with this too, we talk about things that are good for everybody, not for this group or that group. The whole concept of picking and choosing winners and losers is something that I think is antithetical to what we believe, don't you? And that simply would not happen with a Trump administration. We would be looking at ways to do things that benefit all Americans, that create an equal playing field, equality of opportunity. That's what we're looking for. And that doesn't mean that we're not sensitive to people who are downtrodden. In fact, we're very sensitive to people who are downtrodden. And we'll be putting in place things that will allow those people to ascend. Many people have been placed in a position of dependency for generations. They don't even recognize what's going on. We have to change that.
Dr. Carson, do you see
Over of Latin American countries, what are you doing to reverse that situation? We are fighting in the Middle East, but they are now in our neighborhood. What we are doing to reverse the China influence and Russian influence in our neighborhood?
Well, I'll let Mr. Trump answer that question.
Dr. Carson, do you see a future for yourself in politics? And even if there were no promises made as part of this endorsement, would you be interested in serving in a potential Trump administration?
Well, I'm interested in saving America. My concern is our posterity, all the people who are coming after us. And we are destroying any possibility of the American dream for them with the policies that we're doing. So I would be very interested in helping to achieve the goal of saving America and making it great.
As part of a potential
Absolutely.
Trump administration.
Dr. Carson, you talk about two Donald Trumps.
Oh, Catherine, I didn't notice that was you.
Nice to see you. You talk about two Donald Trumps, the one we see in public, the one we see in private. Does that worry you for the American voters? Should the voters know that second Donald Trump, and then as that relates to you, you and Mr. Trump have sparred on a number of issues, whether it's Muslim database, whether it's religion. Are we now seeing a second Dr. Carson with this endorsement?
I don't think so. But my point being that there's a different persona. Some people have gotten the impression that Donald Trump is, this person who is not malleable, who does not have the ability to listen and to take information in and to make wise decisions. And that's not true. Now, you might get that impression from, looking at debates and looking at some of the public appearances, but he's much more cerebral than that and a much more reasonable person than comes across. But as you well know, because you've heard me talk about it a lot, the media, they're very skillful at painting people certain ways. and it may not be who that person is at all. And that person can spend all of their time trying to change the media, or they can just move ahead. And I think he's decided he's just going to move ahead and focus the attention on the American people, not so much on the media. I think that's the right way to do it.
Will you be campaigning with Mr. Trump? Will you be hitting the campaign trail with him?
We will do some campaigning together, absolutely.
And you said you would be interested in
And the last question?
you would be interested in being a part of a potential Donald Trump administration. Have you been promised a running mate slot or a VP slot in exchange for this endorsement?
We have not talked specifically about a role other than being involved in helping formulate policies and trying to make America great. That's the real key. And as was said by many, it is great, but it is nowhere near as great as it can be. And a lot of the things that are in place and that have been in place and growing over the last few decades have led us to a place of incredible stagnation. We don't need to be there. And if we once again begin to embrace those policies that will create the atmosphere for entrepreneurial risk-taking and capital investment, you will see an explosion like nothing you've ever seen before. We simply haven't been doing that. I don't think it's going to be that hard. And I don't think Mr. Trump thinks it's going to be that hard either.